I didn't know, Vita, our granddaughter, bought some chocolate, which is what I used the last time, because she used it for a special chocolate cake, and it was 70%, I remembered that, and I said, what's the brand, or where did you get it? She said, oh, I don't remember, just look for 70% chocolate. So I went to the store. It was just a normal store, but I'll tell you, there was a whole aisle of chocolate. It took me forever. I had so much fun. Every packaging was more beautiful than the one before. This was the cheapest one, but look at its beautiful packaging. Can you imagine this was the cheapest chocolate of the 70% chocolate? So it's 70% bittersweet dark chocolate. It doesn't have to be bittersweet. It doesn't have to be dark. It could be, I don't know. I wouldn't want it to be with no sugar, because I think it would taste like eating dirt, don't you? So anyway, I opened this up last night when I brought it back, and the recipe called for 220. Well, my recipe's doubled what the people said, and it's different. It's changed so much. And if you did it with doubling the recipe, it would be 440 grams of chocolate. This is 275. So I think that I'm going to break this in half and just use half for now and half for another time. But it was a very good price, really. But maybe a little bit more than half, but I don't know. I feel bad using so much chocolate. But we have all these other things, the cranberries, the walnuts, and the ginger. But isn't it just, it has a goat on the front. Can you see it? It's beautiful, isn't it? So I have to chop this up, which, oh, I can't even begin. Where's that? Here. Or something over it. Ready? Oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, look at that. That's pretty darn good. I got half of it. Just like that. Perfect. So that one, I could make more with it. Oh, now I'm scared. Oh, I just don't want to lose any of it, because now I'm really cutting down on the chocolate. Maybe I should just use a serrated knife and do it. Oh, look at, it's so civilized. Look at this. You don't have to act like a caveman. Oh, this is wonderful. Would you, I can't believe this is so simple. It might be making too many crumbs, but it'll still be good in there. Wow, that's not bad, is it? Okay, here. You know what? My channel mammals, it's kind of fun doing this with you, because I'm experimenting and I'm learning, and it's rare when one can get inside someone else and see them thinking. So I think it's kind of fun that we're doing this and figuring it out in togetherness. We may not be both working on it, but in togetherness, we're coming up with a solution. And oh, I think it's great. I can't believe I thought of a knife instead of this. What do you call this? It's like a scaffold or something. I don't know. It's for chopping off chicken legs, I think. Things like that. Or pig's feet, I think. It's very old and it's very heavy. I can hardly lift it. See what I mean? It's beautiful, isn't it? And look at how sensible they were. You can take the blade out and put in a new blade. These days, nobody lets you do that. It's so much better. I don't mean to be old-fashioned, but honestly, you would think by now we would be advancing as a civilization. Sometimes I think we're just going backwards, getting all involved in the body and all this nonsense that everybody's afraid of everything. And you'd think a saber-toothed tiger was chasing us half the time, the way we act. But I don't want to dwell on that because there's too much good to notice. You know, my friend who said she didn't like to have too much ginger because it overtakes. Well, she didn't grow up in my family. My papa, I think I told you this before, his favorite thing was ginger. And this was way back in the day when in California there was powdered ginger, but there was no ginger except in the Golden Gate Park. There was this beautiful Japanese garden there, and a beautiful place for tea, a tea house. And in there they sold big coconut, toasted coconut, and peanuts that were roasted somehow, and yes, ginger, crystallized ginger. So every year since I was a little girl, I gave my papa the same thing for Christmas. I would always try to camouflage it somehow so he didn't know what he was getting. But when he opened it, it was always ginger, and he was so happy. And he would just gobble it right up. But most people didn't know about ginger that much, except for the Japanese. Okay, well, it's a lot of crumbs, but I think it'll be okay. So now we have this, and then, oh, and I showed you these. Now, I don't know how much of these to have, these cranberries, and I don't know how much I used before, but I'll just try to get an idea. So, maybe like that. That's kind of the same. I could do a little bit more. Does that seem good? I wish you could speak to me, but that's okay. You'll know how much I've come to, and then when you make them, you'll know about what I did, and then you can decide. Okay, let's see what this feels like. This feels like about how much I put in before. Maybe. I remember putting a couple of handfuls in. Woo! Maybe a little bit more there. Okay, so there's that. And now for the walnuts. So we'll use these walnuts. And look, I wanted to show these to you. I might have already shown you, so forgive me if I have. But in Tashkent, that market of that country, Tashkent, they have walnuts with the membranes still inside of them. Can you imagine how carefully you would have to peel these walnuts? Shuck the walnuts. But aren't they beautiful? Okay, so now we'll chop up the walnuts. Again, I don't know how many. So we're just going to, all I know is I like them the best of all. So it's going to be hard to hold back. I can't, frankly, I'm not as excited as making these cookies as taking you shopping. We're going to go on a shopping visit. It'll be so much fun. This is the wrong chopping board. This is for presenting a beautiful piece of cheese. And the walnuts are all falling into the carvings here. Well, that's okay. So I like them coarsely chopped, not too fine, because there's just nothing more wonderful than biting into a big chunky piece of walnut, right? In fact, normally what I do, it feels funny chopping them. Usually I break them. I just go, they're halves, so they're easy. Just loop, loop, and then you've got quarters. Loop. Thirds, because that one was already broken. Loop, loop. This is what I should do, and this is what I usually do. I got hung up on cutting. Richard came in here and suggested my using this, and I got off track for what I normally do. So we can blame Richard. I don't know if I told you this. Please remind me if I do, because it must be so boring hearing the same stories. But where I grew up, there weren't any stores. It was just orchards for miles, for as far as you could see. And it was just wilderness, really. And I had to ride my bike a very long way every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work out, because I was training for the Junior Olympics. And it was just cold and miserable, and oh, it was such a hard life. But anyway, the best part was there was one place in the middle of nowhere called Clint's Ice Cream Shop. And at that time, they only had ice cream bars. They made them themselves, but because, you know, you couldn't order things like that. There weren't trucks that could have carried something such a long distance without melting. And, I mean, they had ice blocks, but I don't think they did that kind of traveling that much. So, anyway, one day they got inspired by the walnut orchard around where the little Clint's ice cream shop was. And they decided to make an ice cream, the first one that was different than chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. Or they did have like a blackberry, I think, something like that. Anyway, they made Rocky Road ice cream because the roads were all rocky there. It was not paved yet. And the walnuts were all around them. And they didn't have any such thing as miniature marshmallows yet. So they cut the marshmallows into quarters and stirred them into the ice cream with the walnuts. And that was Rocky Road ice cream, the first Rocky Road ice cream, the first concoction ice cream. Isn't that great? Okay, so now we have everything to put in to the mixture. But we have to put those paddles on. And here they are. I already put them on. And in order to mix in the flour, you know, and everything, you want to have the paddles on because it's getting cold, so it's getting kind of hard, but I think we'll be okay. So here's the flour. Okay, so let's just put everything in. And I think everything will help everything get blended better. And the cranberries. And I'm scared to put the ginger. It does seem like it's more than anything else. Oh! I'll try to get, maybe I'll save out some chunks. Oh, I just don't know. Maybe I'll save the floury part out. It's probably the strongest tasting. Okay. Well, we can always, I don't know if it does much good. I was thinking we could taste it, but you just don't know till it's baked. Okay, here we go. Let's see, where's the, oh, here. Doesn't it feel like we're cooking on a camping trip? Down on the floor. It's so funny. It reminds me of one time we were in Argentina, and we were way up in the mountains. And we got there on a train that had no windows. And the floors were so wet in the train, it was turning to ice. And people, it would stop along the mountains, going up higher and higher. And you know what grew in the mountains were those giant cactus, those monstrous cactus. And the people would throw big, huge packages stitched together of onions or garlic or carrots or something that they grew. And then they run after the train and jump on after it's all, they push it through the windows. Then they run to catch up. And it was such a rugged night. We finally ended up at the top of the mountain at this. It was such a strange place. There were no lights, maybe one in the whole town. And it was all walls made of, I don't know, clay or something, or stucco. And we were freezing. We finally found a place that we could get in. And it was an old army barracks or something, an army camp up in these mountains. And we went in there, and there was a skinny little stove like this. And it had chunks of coal in it. And we turned it on, we lit it, and we were just freezing all night. But we stayed as close to this little stove as we could. And in the morning, we still didn't see any people. It was amazing. But somehow this reminded me of being there. I don't know why. But I don't know. You know what it's like, right? But it was really an incredible experience. The whole experience. But it's so long, I can never tell it all. But here we go. And then you don't want to mix it too much, right? Just enough. And there it is, ready to go. Look at that. It's all ready to put into the oven. Okay, there. Now I'm going to get my scoop out, and you can, oh, I thought I forgot to put the cranberries, but I didn't. Okay, so I'll talk to you in a minute, okay? I'll get the scoop and we'll turn on the oven and get ready. Okay.